really
and
do.
it's fascinating to find out who and well and why and where. Like who was it? I mean, was it those all those John D characters? That John D and his other and what was his name? I can't remember now. He had another guy, Edward Kelly. Yeah, I think people like that. I think were very instrumental in kind of creating, and maybe even Shakespeare, who probably wasn't. He was Francis Bacon, wasn't he? Really? Or something.
Yeah, even the English language though wasn't quite so programmable. So like 400 or 500 years ago, it was all
Okay.
phonetic. They were just
Right.
writing down the sounds that were how they
Right.
just had symbols for the sounds that were coming out of your mouth.
Yes.
And now these sounds all mean different things. It's more like the sound is more important than the spelling.
Yes. So do you think I'm thinking now the languages that are sort of more, like the Chinese and Japanese style, where it's more like, you know how they are. It's like
Images.
different setups, more an image type of thing. Are they more pure, quote unquote? You
Yeah,
could say they were
anything
kind
that
of
is
more pure,
image,
like
like even
less,
hieroglyphics.
less
The
programmable.
Irish,
Yes.
the Irish language, or the Gaelic the old Celtic language, which
Yes.
is just a series of lines,
Right.
it in place of the images.
Yes.
But anytime our language was our first language that people used to convey, where you could go read something, was
Right.
all images,
Yes. Of
hieroglyphics.
course. Yeah. So that stuff is
It,
probably at least less
the least
programmable.
programmable. When
Yes.
you seen a tree, it was a tree. It wasn't a word
There's
for something
no.
else.
That's right. There's no two ways about it. A tree's a tree. Yeah, exactly. But now with words, it's kind of like it's very similar. I, I thought of an very interesting correlation out to that. It's the same with money. Like they've taken money and they made it. They give us this piece of paper that represents work. So it's kind of the same, similar with
Yeah,
language. Like they say, well, we're not going to show you the actual tree or the symbol of it. We're going to give you a word where we decide on the spelling of it, and so it's kind of like they take over and they control it. Like with money, they've taken they can raise its value and lower its value and create crashes and booms. So
it's the image.
it's
You
all
know
a
what?
massive spell. We're under a spell. Language, money, everything.
Money. Yeah, money. If you have a lot of money, then you must be worth something. But where's your self value at?
Yeah.
Can you? Are you a worthy person if you might have pots and pots of money, but um, are you a real bastard? Are you just using it for just because you have a lot of money? But people seem to think if they have lots of money, that's where their value is at,
Of
instead
course.
of
Now that
using money as a tool.
now that you said money, of course, what else would come up in my mind, other than Rothschild, of course. Now, we were saying, I mean, I've my own research, and I don't want to really say a lot of details about my intuitive stuff, but intuitively as well, I've got some info about it. There's a massive. I may come out with that story one day. I haven't really told anyone, but there was this giant thing where I was told I got this info that suddenly, out of nowhere, one day 4 years ago, I got this intuitive, strong info that Rothschild is the bloodline of Cain. And then after that, I started heavily researching that, and now on Facebook and everything in the groups, I kind of find very interesting links and post about that occasionally. What can you say about that? They seem to be the top of the pyramid as far as all the bloodline families go. I mean, I don't know whether the Jesuits. They say the Jesuits are even higher or whatever, but I mean, the Rothschilds are massive players in this, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are, and they come from the old conflicted bloodline. If there was a bloodline that was the Antichrist,
Right. That would be
that
it.
would be
Okay.
it. That's this
Right.
is one of those
Right.
old reptilian bloodlines, cold-blooded serpent
Okay.
bloodlines.
So they're
Yeah,
basically, I mean, yeah. So they're basically Anunnaki, one and the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
And you were saying
Um,
one of the chats that basically, which actually was the most fascinating thing we've spoken about to date. Uh, you said that what they basically want is complete and total domination. Like again, I'm going to use a Star Wars example, like the dude, like the Emperor in Star Wars, like taking over the whole galaxy. They want to take over everything. They have about 80% of the world's wealth, but to them, it's
yeah,
not. To them, if they haven't got 100%, That's not.
they're not
They
they're not
haven't.
content with a
Yeah, they
lot.
haven't succeeded if they haven't got it all. Yeah.
They are these are these are very driven people that
So
they have no that as long as somebody else has something, they're not going to feel secure.
yeah, and you were saying in connection to that, I'm never going to forget this either. It's like you said they have taken out so many other bloodlines, competing bloodlines, and that's what they're constantly doing and fighting. There's a lot of infighting, which we hear this from so many whistleblowers. They're always saying our biggest strength is the fact that these people, they have a lot of infighting going on, and like the
Yeah.
Rothschilds, they want to take out every other bloodline, don't they?
Yes, so you have equally shitty bloodlines that are just, but a lot of what we're seeing, the wars and
Yes,
the corporate takeovers
yes.
are just this game of chess between these competing bloodlines. They
Bloodlines,
all
between Rothschild and Rockefeller, let's say, in America.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So they can get together. Now it used to be like there was a bunch of them, and they would get together and take sides. Your enemy is my enemy, and
Right.
your friend,
Like that,
the enemy,
yeah,
is your
yeah.
friend,
Like they don't
and
want to work with each other really, but they do it because it suits them. Yeah,
yeah, because it suits them to have an alliance for a while, and then
yeah,
the next thing you know, I mean,
yeah. And then
they're
when the person when his usefulness is over, they just kill them or
yes,
get rid of them. Exactly.
yeah.
They have no loyalty. Look, these people, their MO is that they have no loyalty to anyone except their own bloodline. That's it.
They said that there was I don't know where this came from. I'll have to look. There was 33 bloodlines. 11 of them are sitting on the fence. 11 of them are dragon bloodlines, and the other 11 are the ones causing havoc in the
Oh
world.
wow, that's fascinating. That actually, numerologically, that's very significant, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So you have among the 11 are the Rothschilds who are
Right.
who are trying to keep their place at the top of the heap.
Yes.
11 who are sitting there having not a clue or just being pawned around and bounced around, and
Yes.
then
Kind of on the fence or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
Wow.
So, and then you have the 11 dragon bloodlines who are virtually forgotten, but still
Trying to,
trying to manifest,
they're trying to make a comeback.
trying to make a not to come back to compete, but to preserve people from their own destruction.
It's like Return of the King. I mean, it's very interesting with, I don't know how much of a Lord of the Rings fan you are. As I said, I haven't read the whole book, but I love the movies. Some of the fans complained about them, but they were great movies. And at the end, the whole thing is about Aragorn. He was like the ousted king, but
Yes,
it was the whole point. As I mean, the third chapter, which they made it like into the third movie, Return of the King. That the whole thing is about the Return of the King, and then the original bloodline sort of comes back to power, and blah blah
he
blah.
was he was he was a human bloodline that was long lived.
Yes, that's a very
And
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
I would make a correlation between his bloodline, which was the line on Numenor, I think,
Yeah,
to bloodlines that had the association with the dragon bloodline, had been given the blood, and these mortal beings were taught how to live like the dragon bloodlines did, but they got destroyed.
but again, okay, I'm sorry because every time you say that, like I get triggered, and I'm going to go on my tangent of complaining a little bit about it, like protesting. That's more like it. When every time you say, they taught humans this and that, it sounds remarkably similar to like, that William Bramley book, Gods of Eden, or the Zechariah Sitchin, or whatever, what's that other guy, Von Daniken, all those ancient astronaut people, the authors, they talk about the Anunnaki coming and teaching us, how to fight wars and to make weapons of war and everything. It kind of sounds, I don't know if it's being co-opted and we're just being given negative information about or maybe the truth about the dragons has been hidden and we only know about the serpents, that they just taught us about war and things. But I don't know. I freak out every time. I kind of stress out when you tell me. I get nervous whenever you talk about the dragons teaching humans good stuff. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, well, the dragons were teaching them how to make war so the dragons could take over the world. They were teaching humans how to live
In
and
harmony.
grow into spiritual beings.
Yes.
They weren't saying, here, I'm going to teach you how to use a tool so that I can have an army and you can go invade all these other lands and bring back wealth for us. They weren't doing that. It was doing it solely for the development of humankind, not so humankind could be turned into profit makers for them. They knew that if they did not show humans how to live in a spiritual way, that humans were just going to degenerate and either fall into slavery or domination. And that's what happened.
Lo and behold, hello, look out your window. That's exactly what's happened now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's not too late, but
no, it's not too late. Yeah, exactly. But
it's
I mean,
definitely not too late. It's certainly going to be much harder now that humans have been seduced into the Anunnaki or archonic way of thinking.
yes, the draconian model of rulership, basically the top down, the top down
Yeah.
pyramidal thing. Yeah, they're suppressive. Yeah. Oh boy.
It's a big difference if I said, I'm going to give you a knife, and it's a magical knife, and
Yeah.
you take this knife and you can carve wood with it
Yeah.
and go out and sell all this magical wood to people for a big profit and then bring all that profit back to me because you owe me for showing you this.
Right.
Or I could just say, here's a magical knife.
Right.
This is the way that you use it. Don't use it for profit. Don't use it.
For killing or
Don't kill it for use it for your own self-development.
Yeah.
There's two dualities here.
Right.
One empowers and is freedom making, and the other one is you become a slave to the person who gave you the magical knife.
So, do you know? Well, yeah, that's why knowledge is power. I mean, that's why they hoard all the advanced knowledge of the mind and stuff in their secret societies, and then they use it to their advantage. Like they use their knowledge to hypnotize the masses and become rich. And what is the what do you know about Atlantis? I mean, I know quite a bit about that one. I've even got like some past life memories from there and stuff. But is there a connection there with the dragons? Was there an Atlantean connection at all, or was it even earlier? What do you?
It seems like in Atlantis the dragons had their original form.
Right. So which is? I mean, is it basically like the dragons that we see in the fantasy books?
Yeah, wings and tail.
That kind of thing. And we discussed actually that
it was like they lived on the shores of Atlantis, on the shore. But when Atlantis fell, they couldn't keep their original form anymore, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think the fall of Atlantis was like a grid work,
right,
encompassing the whole of the world. And when that veil fell, that physical form could not be supported anymore.
So when Atlantis fell, there was a drop in there was a global drop in vibration as well, so everything changed. Right.
Yep.
But
how much influence what they were doing in Atlantis, I'm not sure.
Okay, but the interesting
they were guardians of some sort, but yeah, it was around the time that Atlantis fell that they couldn't support that the Earth could not support their physical form anymore. So
the interesting thing is that the warm-blooded thing that you said, and then I figured it out for myself, and I later said, wait a minute, are you trying to say they're mammals? That they're not reptile creatures, and you said yes, but then we didn't really explain too much more about it. And I want to touch more on like how to get more into it now. How is it that these things? Well, sorry to say things, but how do these beings a mammalian? How did that come about? I don't know. Is it?
Because
they look like dinosaurs or whatever, pterodactyl type of look. They have that kind of look. So, according to what you said, the myths,
I think that is just how people have perceived them to live.
Okay.
To look is having scales or they.
So what is it? I mean, they must look different. Or okay, let me rephrase that. It must be based on something, because these myths are all based on action, on something that eventually happened. Just like the Lord of the Rings says, first it was history, then it became myth and legend. It's based on something. So people
It's
can't be just
based on
assuming
something. A lot of
assuming
it
stuff.
was that. Do you remember me telling you the dragons held the scales? They had
Yes,
scales. That meant they had discernment or judgment.
yes,
Okay. When they said that dragon had scales, people said, "Oh, well, then it was scales like on their skin." See, here's where the English programming comes in again.
yes, yes.
Scales don't mean,
Dragon scales like on the skin.
or reptile scales. It meant that they had discernment and were holding this, like holding the scales of justice or
Well, I
whatever.
don't know about that. When you sent me that, I wasn't, you know, I'm still on the fence. I don't know if it's just that. I mean, there's so many. We kept saying that there's so many myths and things and legends of dragons, like they actually do look like that kind of dragon look that we see in the fantasy genre. Well, and
Yeah, they had.
now we're saying that there's no connection to that form now. There
Yeah,
must be
there's.
something.
I mean, that form is fine by itself, but the scale thing, I think, was part of that insinuation that they were reptilian creatures.
Because I do like I keep saying, you know, I do feel that very warm type of. I don't really, like I said, I don't know how to explain it. It's the because it's the first time I've experienced it about a month ago, or whatever, and I called it warm aura or whatever. I mean, and it was when we were discussing this stuff, and it was the first time we connected with all that, and I was feeling a whole presence in my room and everything. Like it was a very strong, and I thought, well, you know, she can't be faking this. You know, if she is, she's doing a damn good job. I've experienced so many people on Facebook with these truther groups for the past year, and I have this psychic ability where I can sometimes even read their minds and stuff online. If you were, you know, if you had that reptile cold energy, I would be able to feel it. So I
Yes.
believe that there is something to this dragon thing, you know, dragons versus serpents. It's like a polar opposite energy, but it's like it's like you're a little bit stressing out about the fact that, you know, like telling me that, like admitting that they actually do look like dragons or something. There's nothing,
Don't see. I don't
nothing
know.
wrong, nothing wrong with that. I mean, we're saying that they're mammals, so
The
that's
only
cool.
thing that I know is that they had the long neck and they had the mane.
Okay.
As far as the
Like the third dimensional.
but the scales,
Okay.
there was no scales present.
Okay, fair
There's
enough.
no.
Well, what I don't get now is, like, let's say you or someone, let's say I was one of them or whatever, like, or whoever. Um, how is it that uh, you know, a human mammal walking on 2 feet that looks like us could be descended from an entity like that and still look like we do? Like, what? I mean,
They
were they
create.
really? Are we really talking about literally people like 100% quite literally descended from actual beings that look like dragons from the fantasy movies? I mean, is that how literal it is, or is it more
I
like a
I yes,
is it
I
like a spiritual,
understand
like
now.
a higher dimensional thing, like where their dragon form is in the
It's
fifth dimension, possibly?
it's when the Earth was in a higher dimension.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yep. Yep.
When that framework of that dimension collapsed with the fall of
Yes.
Atlantis,
Yes.
then
So they couldn't have that form anymore. Okay. Okay.
yeah, they could no longer have that form. So they and put their spirit and their genetic material into
Into the
the
humans like us. Yeah.
the
Okay.
form that
Okay.
could be, yes.
Okay. So
So
basically, while you were saying that, I was thinking, I thought, okay, so if somebody has astral vision and they can see in 4D and in 5D, would probably see the person, like they would see like
yes,
dragon type entity around it, and that's probably why I can't see it, but I feel that energy from you. That's probably why. At least I'm getting it. I'm feeling the energy of it,
yes.
I think.
Other people have seen it. People
Right.
like you that are very sighted that way, they have
Okay.
seen it in me.
All right.
They would say things. You have elven energy,
Right.
or you have
That,
um,
that's how it felt to them. Okay.
or somebody say you have shapeshifter energy.
Whoops. I don't like that. But tell us more, because it's very interesting. Because it could be, maybe it's not as malevolent as I think. Because I'm quite, you know, the Anti-Defamation League of the Reptilians is probably going to. I'm not talking about Jews now as a joke. I mean, you know, There may be some anti-defamation league for reptilians in the galaxy, and they're like, this guy's very anti-reptilian. Any mention of reptile, I kind of, you know, I stress
Okay, yeah,
out. I stress out straight away.
The shape shifting is basically going back to where the draconic people had to shift their shape in order to from dragon form with the wings to a humanoid. That in itself is shape shifting, but that energy, that conscious energy, their psyche is still within that human form.
Right. Okay. Because we shouldn't be getting our panties in a knot whenever we hear the word shapeshift, because it's not necessarily referring to the serpent line only.
No. It's like my mother was almost like that. She would go from being this like perfectly normal person,
yes,
and then something in her psyche would shape.
Yes.
Would shift, and but when I had that encounter with whatever it was, that I'll just call it an alien, I don't know what it was, in my room, my physical body didn't change. I didn't turn into a dragon.
Wait, hang on. What alien? What encounter are you talking about?
Did I tell you about it?
I was assuming that you were referring to something we discussed, but I don't remember what are you referring to, though? Just remind me.
Back in 2009,
yes,
I was having a bunch of weird stuff happening to me.
Yeah.
It was like when I was meditating, when I was lucid dreaming,
right.
when I was just dreaming, I was having all kinds of strange things happen.
You said you were having like a poltergeist phenomena even and stuff like that. Right.
Yeah, this all culminated one night when I was sleeping,
right.
And I woke up. I'd fallen asleep with a light on, and I woke up and I had sleep paralysis. I couldn't move, and that never happened to me before.
Yes.
And at the same time, I became aware that something was in the room with me, behind me, where I couldn't see it. And that knowledge that something was in the room with me that really didn't belong there is what actually I got so angry that sleep paralysis broke.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I lifted up off the bed. I don't know how I did this because I was laying on my side, but I came up off the bed like 2 or 3 feet, and I landed on all fours, and I could feel my neck stretch out like 3 or 4 feet.
So you did like a levitation thing almost, pretty much.
Yeah. So my actual form wasn't shifting, but something was turning my energy.
So energetically, it wasn't. So your physical body would have probably looked the same to an onlooker, but
yes, I could feel my neck. It was very weird because I could feel my neck stretching out, and I roared. I made this noise like roaring.
Okay, but I don't remember you telling me this at all on the chat. Okay, oh my god, yeah.
At this thing that was in my room, and I was angry, but it wasn't like human anger. It wasn't like when I get angry at someone. It was just really clear. There was no...
Right.
It was weird.
So let me guess, this thing that you felt was threatening you in the room was of a serpent persuasion, and your dragon self sort of roared at it or something. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Whatever it was, and it was, somebody might say it was a gray. It was this little short...
Okay.
Maybe like 5 foot.
Yeah.
Or being, and it didn't have any color. It was solid.
Yeah.
And it had a moon face. It had absolutely no expression. It was just this.
Well, greys are drones. Apparently, the repts, like they have genetically engineered them. They're just like clones. It's most like soulless. They're not.
Oh, okay.
They haven't got like a soul like we are. Anyway.
It was. Otherwise, it had a normal-looking human face. It's just it was devoid of any animation, and it was, and it alternately. I wasn't afraid of it. I was very angry at the intrusion, though.
Yeah.
It was sort of like,
Okay, so the most fascinating question now is, and I kept asking you this again and again when we were chatting on Facebook about it. What to do? I mean, because you know how gung-ho I am. I'm doing my William Wallace thing here, trying to take all these bad guys out. I mean, I'm always asking, how are we going to stop the Rothschilds and everything? You said, I remember this, if enough bloodlines, like insider bloodlines, the good guys get together, which, like I said, I feel, and you sort of have a feeling that you reckon that maybe I'm part of, like, related to some kind of one of the good ones because I'm strong in the force. I'm usually, like, whatever. Understand, the occult very well. And so, okay, then what? Okay, so we get people like us, sort of, we all hook up through Facebook and eventually do more practical stuff, like in real life, start an organization or something. Then what? I mean, these people, they own 80% of the wealth on the planet. They have the central banks, they've the politicians in their pockets. What do you think? What do you think is the
They're
answer?
very. The thing is that there's very few of them.
Yeah, yes, but the differential, like the difference, I mean, it's inversely proportionate, or whatever it goes. However,
Yes,
it's like there's so few of them, but they've got, like 50 people. 50 people have got 80% of the world's money, pretty much.
We have to start nullifying some of this programming or this dark magic that they're putting out in the world
Right.
too. We have to start.
Yes,
We have to start being portals for
yes, for higher energies.
higher energies, and
Yeah.
we all know that the more people, the more portals that come together, the bigger
Yes.
portal you get.
Yes, because the power of sin is
And
like, yeah.
resuming our responsibility towards caretaking humans.
Yes, well, that's the kicker, isn't it? Because we keep not disagreeing like in a bad way, but I disagree with the idea. Like I can't, I don't know. I mean, people are people ready? And are they ready for this? That's what I'm worried about.
Collectively, I don't think so. But if you have to start with people that are somewhat open to it, and you're still going to
Yes.
get a lot of resistance.
Yes.
If you take anybody in that truther movement, I see a lot of slave mentality people in there,
Yes, of course.
and they're really just looking for a benevolent ruler.
Yes.
Well, right, their benevolent rulers don't have anything to offer them right now because what they're looking for is minimum wage, and they want a better job, and these are the things that they want from their benevolent rulers, and that's not what they're going to get.
Because the thing is when you said benevolent ruler, the first thing I thought was New Age gurus, or call them truther gurus, alternative, whatever, because some of them actually attack the New Age, so you can't call them New Ages. But you know what I'm saying? Like they say that, oh no, I'm my own person, and I don't listen to anyone or follow anyone else. But then when they see some guy that has some very interesting info, they kind of follow them like it's like a cult of personality, right? So and then you look at these people and you're like, wait. You were just talking about freedom and anarchy and this and that, and you're just acting like I don't want to mention it because if this goes on YouTube, I don't want to get in trouble. But that cult, that famous cult in America, where they just follow, they do whatever they say. So it's like there is like a cult mentality even in the people that apparently have taken the red pill. So how are we gonna? I mean, it's terrible. What you're saying is probably true. Like maybe 95% of the people are designed to be followers. I don't know. It's a terrible thought to think, but I don't know.
They have to do some self-development work the same way an alcoholic has to go to AA and go, I'm an alcoholic. I don't have any control over myself.
They have
to go to Slaves Anonymous and go, I'm a slave.
Yes.
I don't know how to be. I don't want to be a slave anymore.
But we haven't got. There is no Slaves Anonymous though. That's the thing. Or what would be the equivalent of Slaves Anonymous? At least the best thing that we have at the moment. What would it be? I mean, I think just the truther scene. I guess if we didn't have our YouTubes and Facebooks, we'd be screwed. Really, I think.
Right. Well, nobody's ever going to go. Everybody that's in the truther movement thinks they're free, even though they're still waiting for the government to change.
Exactly.
You're never going to get. You're never going to get anybody to go do this self-acceptance work, where that first stage where you go, okay, I'm a slave, or I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a drug addict.
Yeah.
What you have to first accept that there's something wrong with you in order to fix it.
And what I'm seeing, I think a lot of people are realizing this, and you see it in all these discussions in these Facebook groups through which we met originally. And it's like, wait a minute. You eventually, you get all riled up, and we're going to start a revolution. We're going to blah blah blah. We're going to bring down all these bankers and whoever it is. And then a lot of us kind of sober up and like, wait a minute. What the fuck is happening here? We're not really doing anything. All we're doing on Facebook and stuff is just
talking.
complaining about the problem. Okay, so now now the difference is we know we're screwed and we know who's behind it. Before we didn't know, like 100 years ago. So who cares? I mean, okay, so now you know that you're, you know, the F word. You know you're screwed. So I don't see. I mean, I suppose the first thing to solving a problem is, you know, to discovering that, facing that there's a problem in the first place. So I guess the first step was to just discover there is a conspiracy in the first place. So I suppose that's sort of the stage the truth movement's going through still. And there's elements of guys that are coming out and offering solutions and stuff. But you know, I mean, but you can't really. I don't know, man. I really like all these papers. They own all the money and all that stuff. That's a lot of the problems. Like they have cornered everything. They have all. You know what you mean. You know what I mean. Like they've got all the angles covered. These people.
Yes, they do. They have all the angles covered, but they have it done in such an artificial way that it can be broken. But look at the kinds of people we have in the world. We have the people like here in America. They're they're working 9 to 5 at some horrible slave job, and they're coming home and watching TV and eating dinner.
Crap food.
When you approach them and said, "Do you know you're a slave?" They're like, "Of course not. I live in America." And
they think they're land of the free.
Yeah, they don't know they're slaves.
No.
Okay.
No.
Then you have people in the truther movement who go, okay, well, we've all been slaves.
Yes.
They can admit that they're slaves.
Yes.
And then you have the people who are in the truther movement who think that they're spiritual, and they're like, but I'm not a slave. And it's like, but you're still going to this horrible 9 to 5 job, and you're still paying taxes, and you're still you're a slave.
It's such a joke, isn't it? Because I mean, the only thing is that, well, look, it is a bit different though. Like, I mean, I remember myself and you and whoever. If anyone, like, if I end up uploading this and people are listening, everybody, you can think of yourself before you started meditating and stuff, and after. And I mean, of course, I would have been miserable if I had never gotten into this. I mean, it doesn't matter that. I mean, you can be of the world and not of it, or however that goes. I mean, it does help. It is so much. It's such a massive difference if you know. You have to. It's good to know about. You know, I mean, if you take the red pill, and you know about you know what I'm saying, like knowing that you're a slave and everything, I suppose that helps a lot. But I mean, I'm very practical as well. I want to take the next step now. Like, that's the thing. What do we do now, though? Okay, there's a lot of truthers. We know we're slaves. Now what?
You know what? You have to. It would almost be like where you go, I want to find people who are willing to step the bat and do some work and go, I'm a slave, now what?
Right.
You're going to get some people who are going to go out and go, you know what, I am a slave. I can't seem to get out of the system. I'd like to know how.
Right.
And then you have these people who are like, no, I'm really a unicorn. I'm not a slave.
Yeah, like the New Ages. Yeah. I mean, that's why. That's why I liked that Mark Passio group that I started in January so much. I mean, I'm not very involved with it now. I kind of got sick of the overtly left-brained, atheistic type of outlook of a lot of people in there. Which I was shocked. I never expected like so many atheists and stuff in there to congregate in a place like that. But the thing is that what I love about the whole thing and about Passio. And whoever doesn't know, just Google him, Mark Passio. He's got that very practical, you know, like at least he's one of the few that says, well, okay, you know, we don't know everything, but at least we're trying to take some action here. It's not just New Age just sitting there. It's like, oh, it's okay, love and light. She'll be all right. It's okay, just love and light. And the aliens will come, the Pleiadians will come and save your ass. So that's the thing. I mean.
Those are the people who are waiting for the return of a benevolent ruler.
Exactly, and that's probably, it's like 80% of the truther movement are probably in that mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is the things that they want, but right now the benevolent ruler can't offer them because they're still in that material world. Oh, I want a Cadillac. Oh, I want you to pay all my bills.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we're teaching you how to get those things for yourself. We can't give them to you.
Yeah.
Or somebody will say to me, well, how come you don't have all that stuff? And it's like, I want it. That's shit I want. You know. My manifestational abilities are very good.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I want a Cadillac. I don't want more shit to take care of. I know I'm going to have enough shit to take care of in my lifetime.
No, that's what I am. I mean, you're not, like they say, you're not going to take it with you. And, you know, you reincarnate again, you come back, you start all over. And what you the only thing you take with you, I mean, the only true wealth is the spiritual growth. Like that, you never lose that. That always comes
Right.
back, you know, and that always
You
whatever
take that with you
you take that with
into
you in
next
the next.
time.
It's like it's. I mean, the spiritual thing. I was talking to someone about it recently. I don't remember who, but I was telling him that it's like a bicycle. It's like whatever you get, whatever gain you make, it's like you learn how to ride a bicycle once, and it stays. So you never lose whatever gain you make with spirit. So that's the true wealth. Okay, that
Yes,
is a true
that's
wealth.
the
Yes,
true. Yes, that's the
yes,
true worth there is carrying it because people can only think in terms of this lifetime. I
exactly.
think in terms of
That's why
my other life.
the truth about reincarnation, I think, is one of the biggest. It's probably not the biggest, but the one, one of the top three things that we need to break down. Like that's why with Christianity, I'm so against, Christianity is the worst, organized religion, the worst thing ever because they hide the truth about reincarnation. I mean, if people
Yes.
knew that that was real, yeah. But
So
so what do we do? Okay, we're talking about the new age has kind of been diluted, and the truth is sort of being like a, truthers are kind of like very interesting. I'm going to sort of plug another cool dude, as well, a researcher, Thomas Sheridan, who I've friended him on Facebook as well. We chat sometimes. He's an awesome guy.
uh-huh.
He's a psychopathy expert. Um,
A
I
what?
saw him psychopathy, like he's written some books on psychopaths, and he kind of became runaway hit,
Oh,
and
okay.
he became kind
There's
of
great
known for that.
shit.
He's like became an expert in that thing. I'm going to interview him too one day. He agreed to. But I saw a funny tweet on on a post of his Sheeple 2.0, and I've started kind of using that. I referenced that recently, like ever since. It is so true. Like they're kind of like Sheeple 2.0. A lot of these truthers, isn't it? Aren't they?
Right.
What do you think?
It's
I know
I don't know.
you're very. You seem a bit.
It's almost like it's someplace that when you put it there, it just flies off in all directions.
You kind of feel frustrated, or it's like, oh
I
god,
think
what are we gonna do?
psychopathy and
No, well,
it,
never
it,
mind. Don't worry about the psychopathy thing. That was just a tangent. But
oh,
basically, truthers are sheeple 2.0, is what I'm getting at.
yeah,
I mean,
I
yeah,
do that. They just got another idea. They just have another idea. They have a new religion.
exactly. I mean, it's like a new control system, but a more
Yeah,
subtle one
but
to
that's
to
just the way
control
that the
them.
human mind works. As
Yes,
soon as you get exposed to a new idea, it has
yes,
to start ruling you, like natural law.
yes.
Natural one calling it a law is the first clue that
That is a
humans
trap.
like to be
Kind of like
ruled.
a trap. Yeah.
Humans like to be ruled.
Yes.
So they need the rule
Exactly.
book.
Yes. That's so
So
funny, isn't
here,
it? Exactly, because you're saying, I mean, oh, we want to be free and whatever, but they still do have that what's the word? They need that need for authority to look at least to a book or to a philosophy
yes.
or to somebody, some guru is like, oh, he knows everything and he said, quoting
Well,
some guy all the time. So yeah,
well, see, now they have their Ten Commandments of. They have a new set of Ten Commandments now, which is natural law. So you see people going, "Oh, I see you being sopolipus." How do you ever say that?
solipsistic, yeah,
Yeah, or
solipsistic,
it's anytime, even when you're in one of these groups, you see the act of correspondence
yes.
going on
Yes.
continuously.
I
It's
mean,
just
and
that,
by the way, sorry, I need to put a very, very important caveat there because I don't want to get in deep shit here on the Facebooks and everywhere. I actually, this is very ironic. I am the guy that started that group called what's it called again? New Age bullshit. The New Age
well, it's
Mark Pass
bullshit. Yeah.
Mark Passiv's database, and I was a massive. I'm a massive. I'm a big. Well, I was upset. Like I watched that. There's this video called New Age bullshit, and it's 7 hours long. And I knew Passio like from years ago, from like 4 years ago, or whatever. But ever since that came out a year ago, I don't know. It just did something for me to me. It was awesome. So then a few months later, I just had this whim to start this group. So I did, and now I don't want to. This is the ultimate irony. Me making an interview here and sort of talking. We're not sort of talking negatively about saying, oh, people now turn natural law into a religion, and they're talking about you're solipsistic because you don't agree with what I just said. But what we're trying to say, I believe, is we're kind of observing how people behave in a group like that, And
Mm-hmm.
you know, a big majority of them, instead of being true anarchists, they're basically, you know, I mean, there's sheeple, then there's sheeple 2.0, who are the new ages, and these guys are behaving like sheeple 2.5. You know, I mean, they think that, oh, we're
Yeah.
not new ages, but then you look at them, they're like, they keep quoting the, how did you say it before? Like they keep
Yeah.
quoting their own Bible or whatever
They're all, yeah,
the natural law Bible, you know, like, and it's a bit, it gets tiring, but that's why I kind of don't interact that much in there anymore. But I'm not, this is not criticizing the group. This is the ultimate irony because I started
no,
it, for
it's
fuck's sake. But
you.
guys, go there, look it up if you guys are interested, whatever, whoever's listening. But we're just observing, I suppose, humanity, the way people kind of create.
I think this is part of our learning experience. Because I always thought that people were just like me. You know, people have the
Yes,
same potential as me. People are just
yes,
like me. They
yes,
they might they might not have knowledge. But but they're
yes.
it. This is a program of equality. Everybody's the same. Everyone's the same. No opinion's better than another opinion. That's wrong. People are not the same.
No,
And we just
that's
have to accept that. It's
no,
nothing about them being bad or awful or horrible or
no.
immoral. It's just they are different
No, that's
in
true.
terms.
I mean, I don't. I make. You probably have seen, like when I used to hang out in that group a lot. I think I made. I don't know if you were around at the time, but I made a couple of posts about that once, and a lot of people, there were like dozens of likes, and people were like, "Yeah, this is so true." I was saying that, you know, I'm sick and tired of the new age scene trying to say that everybody is the same. It's like a communistic. It's like a spiritual communism. You know, they're saying
It is.
everyone is the same, and because, and then it takes out the value of putting extra effort into learning more or evolving more or whatever. It's like if
Yeah.
everyone's the same, why the fuck do I need to make any effort at all? I mean, we don't need, you know, it doesn't
Just,
matter that you have studied for 20 years and know more than me, or I have done whatever. It's like, oh, we're all the same. I can just talk to my higher self and say, hey, can you just tell me all this knowledge? I don't need to read or anything. I mean, everything is just,
that's the our
I'm a
that's
divine
the
spark and I
that's
know everything. That's such a
the
Luciferian,
archonic influence.
that's Luciferian bullshit. I mean, that's not true.
That is. It is. It is the archonic influence because the
Exactly.
archonic influence is actually all the same. It's all the same. It's all
Yes,
equal.
and that's why, and that's where this communist idea probably stems from. That, I mean, because
Yes.
they want to equalize everything and thus reduce everything, and all cultural Marxism and all this, you know, Jewish communist, Illuminist communism type of thing that the bankers planned from back then. You know, I mean, because they started the Rothschilds, etc. They planned
That's
the
when
communist
you.
revolutions in Russia and everything. I mean, that all that is archontic.
That's all archonic, yes, because you see that these people are involved in this. I'm in a loft, so I'm having to climb back up in my loft here.
That's okay.
Um, you will see that these people, they're also involved in a struggle, is they all want to be the same, but they all want to be special.
Yes, like the thing is, I see a massive hypocrisy in a very similar sense that you see in Christianity, right? You know, the typical thing people say about when people go to church on Sunday and they behave all nice and everything, but they're just hypocrites. It's the same with the New Ages. It's like you hear them saying stuff like, they have this catchphrase, a lot of them say, it's like, you know, when somebody says that they're better than someone else, automatically that proves that they are not. It's like it's just proof that you are not better, because to even think that, it means that there's, you know, you must be like some
It, that's their lack of self-development.
intolerant type of, you know, whatever,
Yeah,
aristocratic
it's
type.
kind of like reverse intolerance. I can't
Yeah.
probably play the guitar much better than me. You're better at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, my God, if I've been playing guitar for 20 years and you've never played it before, obviously, and then to say that, oh no, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. There's no difference
No,
between the
it's not all the same.
I mean, if
So when if we were to play,
I'm an expert in guitar and other people are not. I mean, and that's how it works with
you know
every,
what? I'm okay with that. I am
and
okay with that.
everybody should be, and that's how it should be with spirituality too. It's like, not, oh, we're all divine sparks, and it doesn't matter if that person has done abstinence and sort of lives in a cave for 20 years and just, you know, lives on water and just meditates all day. Of course, but it takes out the value of actually putting effort into it, doesn't it?
It does. That is
Takes
all an archonic agenda
takes the
that
value out
reduces
of the
everything down
effort. So it
to
reduces. Yeah. Sorry, I get
that's very
overexcited.
deciduous.
I get
But the people
overexcited and talk over you sometimes.
the people who can't accept that there are people who can do things better than them or think more clearly or have more clarity or perform a skill or a task are going to be the ones that drag us back down again.
Exactly, and they're never going to get anywhere themselves. I mean, they're going to end up being controlled because they will not find their own talents and strengths. Because if you think, everyone's the same, that means they have no ambition and, they don't make an effort to develop their own talents and blah, blah, blah. It's just, I mean, a lot of people might hear this and say, okay, you're sounding like you're sounding like a fascist type of Darwinist type of, pyramidal dog-eat-dog societies, like there's people that are better and it's like a hierarchy. But for Christ's sake, I think the universe is a hierarchy.
It is. There's four, again, it goes back to those four types of beings on Earth. There's
Can you
four
name
types
them? You've been mentioning there's about 4 or 5 beings. Do you know like the classification? What do you think?
They weren't labeled like with a name.
Okay.
It was more like how they behave.
Okay.
Is what clarifies how they are.
Okay. So it's like more like soul types or blood.
Yeah, there and it was people here. Let me see if I can find it. Somebody wrote. It was Manly P. Hall that wrote a description of them, and I think that there's a brief Gnostic.
He was amazing, by the way, at Manly P. Hall. Incredible. I mean, he was a 33rd degree Mason and everything, but that doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Yeah.
That's just the metaphysics. It's the mind that's using the metaphysics. I'm sure there's been lots of fallouts in the Masonic.
Speaking of that, I wanted to touch more about the blood sacrifice, the blood drinking, all that stuff. I mean, you hear the fundamentalist Christian conspiracy theorists that are a bit too paranoid and everything and closed-minded and all that. And they're constantly, masonry is satanic and they're sacrificing children. I mean, but then, and then I thought, okay, it's bullshit. It's overkill. But now I realize that in the higher degrees, they do. I know a guy through Facebook that he knows someone else who his grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason, and he directly told him, face to face, he said, I sacrificed a baby once or something in some ritual.
Right.
So a 33rd degree and this guy is his grandson, and he told my friend, and he told me. He said, man, he actually told me this word for word from his grandfather. So do you know if this happens at epidemic levels within these secret societies, or maybe just one case here, one case there? I mean, I think they do it like the Vatican. They've caught out the Vatican now that does it, like what's it called, the Ninth Circle sacrifice cult, where all the popes have to sacrifice a child and drink their blood in order to be initiated to become a pope. Yeah,
that is a corruption of the old blood rites, where you did not have to take a life.
But what do they get out of this? I was thinking, people are going to think I'm crazy now, but I was thinking, literally last night I was in bed trying to figure this out, like, what is it? And I was Googling some stuff, and I even posted in that Knights of Truth group a couple of articles about, blood drinking and Luciferian. What do they get? What understood?
The old pure blood rites of you gave someone your blood. If you had the blood, you gave someone your blood.
Right.
So they could get their own the mitochondrial, or what you call the midichlorians, to be active. And you had to. Now this is proportionate. You only needed a little bit of blood. Right. You only needed a thimble of it.
Yes.
And then you worked with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This,
and it was a divine ritual of sacred love, where it's like, I'm giving you a part of myself. I'm giving you this whole part of myself.
Was it when they were getting that thimble, that little bit of blood? Was it like, was it making contact? Was the other person that was taking it? Were they ingesting it, or was they were cutting their own skin and connecting, like contacting the blood? Okay.
there's different, depending on what they're trying to achieve.
Yes.
That's where the blood brother ritual came.
Yeah.
You know, is
Okay.
you would cut your hands or your
Yeah.
wrist, and
Yeah.
you would bind them together for however
Yeah.
long.
But there's basically like a science, like a metaphysical reason behind it, right? Like it connects,
Yeah.
it gives the other person's energy to you. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there was the ritual of taking the blood with wine.
Right.
You didn't, people didn't want to drink blood because it.
Yeah.
And then it was the exchange of bodily fluids through certain sexual activities. I won't get graphic and
Yeah.
embarrass whomever may be listening to this. There
Yeah,
was
no, that's fine. We've all done that. I think before. Yeah.
there was. Now they've taken all this and they've corrupted it because they can't do it. They can't do it because they don't have any. This is something they should be doing within their own bloodline. This is what was done within their own bloodlines, and then they would choose. Everything that they're doing is inverse of that.
But their bloodline hasn't got like any genuine power of its own, you're saying, right?
Yeah, it has no genuine. Yes. They need vast amounts of blood because when you don't do it with a bloodline, there's no power in that blood that they're stealing.
Right.
This is when they thought the thing was taking the blood of a virgin for obvious reasons. Well, they think, well, if a virgin's good, a baby must be better because they're totally pure.
Because it's pure. Yes.
So they don't even know what they're doing, but they keep doing it over and over again because by volume our blood is powerful to a certain extent. So they're getting a little bit of power out of a lot of blood.
Wait, okay, so it's like that's why they need more and more and more, and it's just
yes.
It's like greedy people with money when they need more. Look, I just remember now. You gave me the most fascinating explanation I've ever heard about this in one of our chats about a month ago. And I'd like you to. Now I'm going to tell you what you said, and if you can, give me more details now. You said something like when they drink the blood and this stuff, in a high-level secret society things, and the popes and the George Bush Senior and all those assholes that do this. The entity like Carlos Castaneda's Predator, the Archon energy, that comes through, that takes them over. You're saying that takes them over, and then it's like a symbiotic relationship, and it's the first time it's ever been put like this to me, because obviously it's insider knowledge. I've never heard it before. You said that the entity needs the person because the person is just going to keep doing this more, and it gives them power. It gives them occult power or whatever, psychic power, to be able to become more powerful, to make more money in the world or whatever. So they can just keep getting more and more food because the entity, for some reason, wants human blood. I don't know though how that works. I can't understand why the Predator, why the Archons wants blood of babies. I mean, is it because it's got it's the vehicle? Vehicle of the spirit.
Gives them a false sense of power.
Really?
Archons on their own do not have power. They only have the power that we give them.
But doesn't the blood, I'm talking science now, literally, because there's no such thing as magic. Everything is advanced science, really, as per the Arthur C. Clarke quote. Doesn't it have some energy, holds the vehicle of the soul,
Yes.
So
yes, it does. Blood has a certain amount of power in it, even if it's not been endowed with a draconic bloodline. There is a certain amount of power in blood, but it's what they're looking for is in blood. I think also that they're looking to run across or maybe find people who have draconic bloodlines.
Yes.
And as many people, so you're randomly going through the whole population, selecting people, hoping maybe one of these days you'll get somebody with a draconic bloodline that's strong enough.
Yeah.
But it won't ever take.
Why?
It will never take. It will never ever take. They could come and they could suck me dry and they wouldn't get anything out of me because it will not take.
Oh, because
they have not.
Right.
Yeah. The blood is only as good as the vessel that goes into.
Right, so it's not okay. So they're basically, it's a pointless exercise for them, right?
So all this black magic, for the lack of a better word, that they're conducting, all this condensed magic, really is only occurring on the archonic level of reality. They could direct all this shit at me and it wouldn't have any effect. They could summon all.
That's an interesting concept there that you said, because it's a few people have happened upon, they realize this, like with people like David Icke. I've had some discussions that when people say, why hasn't he been killed yet and stuff like that, and even he is given an answer to that, and it's like, well, I've reached a higher level, like he's more closer to the higher self. And people like him, like I feel like I have the same, I feel I'm not scared, like I feel unprotected, right? And you feel that you're like in a different dimension almost. Like these people work on the lower astral level, and if we connect with the higher self, their magic can't really touch us, they can't assassinate us, it's not very easy to stop us. Am I on the right track?
Yes, exactly. People who identify with our archonic mind, the parasitical mind,
yes,
that stuff works. Okay, that stuff works on them. I've done it before, only in defense, where I set someone's house on fire, not literally.
Okay.
But I did a ritual where I was setting the house on fire because what was ever in that house, I did not want it being moved out of the house.
Okay.
So I wasn't going to do this against a person. I was going to do it against the object.
Just the house. Yeah. Okay.
Just the house. And to this day, it has stayed that way. That was years back. So I could control anybody through their archonic mind.
Yes, because and that's why they want. I mean, the people that break away, that get, that take the red pill, let's say, and the more you do that, the more you break out of the matrix. They can't really. We're basically like 10 times more powerful than these people when we connect with our higher self, isn't it?
Exactly. Part of getting out of that control is to take control of your archonic mind, and this is actually what we're supposed to be here showing people is we can't really, with the laws of free will, we can't really tell the controllers what to do or not to do, but what we can do is stop being controlled by them and then rise above it.
Yes.
That is where by volume we would be more powerful, but we have to get out of the same archonic mind that they're so deeply entrenched in.
Yeah.
And that is.
We do, and the thing with this alternative, this truther movement and the New Age and everything, I kind of lump them all in the same sort of thing together. They really don't have many techniques and stuff to get rid of the predator mind.
No.
We've kind of discussed some of that, but I don't want to bring up much of it now. But it's like there are some techniques known out there, but not many people know about it, and it's just so difficult. I mean, I would love to actually develop something new or whatever, because a lot of stuff that's already there is kind of tainted, and it's. What I mean? I want to talk. You know what I want to talk about now, but it's a bit I kind of don't really want to mention it.
That's all self-development work, and nobody wants to do it because one, they don't think it's spiritual. Well, the thing is, if you do self-development work, your spirit's already there.
Exactly.
It's like you have to clean out all this crap in you to get to that part of yourself that is allowing to express it.
Exactly, like people that they're New Ages and they meditate and stuff, and especially and you know me pretty well, not pretty, you know what I mean. You know me for a little while on Facebook, so you know that I'm all for the divine feminine. I love women and stuff, and I have a lot of female friends on Facebook and get along fabulously and everything. But nothing against women themselves, but a lot of women in the New Age scene, man, they just have not got the balls to face their shadow. Like I have to come out and say it. I mean, it's just you tell them about the human sacrifice stuff and all those horrible things, and they don't want to hear it, and they're like, stop it. That's real. Stop telling me that scary stuff and love and light, and they just stuck in their little bubble of love and light.
Yeah, well, that's because they do not have will. They do not have spirit or will.
The masculine will.
That's just a belief that they have about themselves. They don't have wisdom because they're not wise enough to even. You have to know you have to understand the problem in order to fix it. They want a solution. Everybody wants a solution.
Yes.
My way of looking at things is let's get rid of the problem, then we won't need a solution.
Well, step one of fixing a problem in your life is looking at, like, admitting that it's there. I mean, if we're not even we don't even want to look at this stuff.
Yes.
Like I've made so many posts I've made on Facebook saying stuff like, you're sitting right there, meditating in a room all day while cops are banging down your door. Like the New World Order, the Fourth Reich is about to smash your door down, and you're not going to be sitting in your room with your incense meditating, and that's magically going to stop because of your amazing Jedi mind powers, because of you've got the bubble of light surrounding you. I mean, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying we shouldn't meditate and everything like that. You know how many arguments I've had in that New Age bullshit group about when people say meditation is not necessary. But you know what I'm saying. It's like these people, they don't understand that you have to look at the negative stuff, like the really horrible shit that's happening in the world. If we don't face it.
Yeah, you don't have to get emotional and react to it or start. But that's what they're doing, is they get emotional and going, "Oh, I can't stand to see that." And it's like, then you are perpetrating it.
Exactly, because I mean, knowing that something's happening, that's genius what you said. Knowing that something's happening and not doing anything about it. Yeah, I mean, by law, even isn't it by law? Like if somebody knows something and doesn't say, they're classed as an accomplice. Yeah, so I mean, so it
yes,
is.
you are.
Yeah.
If you don't say anything, and then you can't say that you have compassion or empathy. If you cannot, it's like if these people that are getting murdered, and if they can put up with it, if they can put up with ritual abuse and have their blood taken, and they can put up with all this horror and trauma, don't you think that you at least owe them the respect of looking at their situation?
Yeah, and they're saying, I'm an empathetic person and I'm a healer and I do my Reiki.
And they have empathy whatsoever.
And then they don't really give a shit about all this horrible stuff. Yeah, it's like, don't you care about all these kids that are being slaughtered, just like you said? Yeah, exactly. But,
no, I'm a vegan. I'm a vegan. I'm above all that.
Yeah, oh god, no, don't start a vegan thing. But because I'm gonna, look, I love all these groups that I've started. Obviously, I started them because I was very interested in these topics myself. Not first of all, and whatever. I obviously I just attracted people of a similar wavelength that also like these things, and it's awesome actually. I mean, I've made so many friends through Facebook. It's just a year ago I didn't have this. I didn't know. I'm going to plug the Facebook stuff for about a minute now. A year ago, I've had the Facebook account for like 4 or 5 years now, but I never really used it. Yeah, for the first couple of years, it was kind of one of those accounts that have no picture or nothing. It's just completely empty.
I didn't either. I just started. I would check it once in a while, but
yeah.
I did not really start using Facebook probably till about maybe April or May.
Oh, okay, this year. Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, I always had an account when I'd post, but I never really was into it.
So I had it, like I had an account maybe from 2010, which I'm talking about never, like it was just there, like having an email that you never use ever. So no picture on it. The wall was completely looked like a spam account. There was nothing on it.
Right.
So and then I had my last serious relationship, who I thought was my twin flame or something, 2 years ago. She was a bit of a Facebook person, so I used it a bit more then. But not really. I only had like 20 friends on it or something, a couple of people from Greece and stuff, and from Melbourne here, who I wasn't interested really in hanging out with or talking. So suddenly I found the Truther groups a year ago, after a conversation I had about the 9/11 anniversary last year, 2013. So a mutual friend made a post about it, and I made some comments, and I met another girl on that. And she friended me and she added me to a Truther group. And a month later I started my own. That's it. The rest is history. But it's incredible. Like 400 friends now that are all on our wavelength. I would be depressed. I would be, if I'm imagining myself pre-Truther Facebook craze, I reckon I would have been not very happy. Not the way I am now.
Well, the stuff that I used to look at like 15 years ago, which is basically the same, used to be very frightening and uncomfortable for me. But once I started looking at it and understanding how it was working, I was no longer frightened by it because like, oh, I understand how this works.
Yes.
Once you understand how something works,
Yes.
then you have control over it.
Because we fear what we don't understand, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we fear what we don't understand. It just
Exactly.
sounds, we're for emotional, oh, that sounds scary, but when you see the logistics of it or how
Yeah.
it's working,
Yeah.
that then you start going, well, that's the means to our empowerment. And that's
So
how I started getting,
look, this gets me back to the thing that we were saying before about solutions, like because we were saying that it's kind of useless that all these truthers, they know about the problem, they know who the bankers are now and who all the players are. But we're saying it's pretty much useless. But like you said, it is a good thing though, isn't it? Like we need to know. It's like part of knowing the problem, like you have to know the problem in order to solve it. But
right.
what's the next
you
step
get
though? That's the thing, like how do we stop these people? We're saying we've got to get some bloodlines together so we can gang up on them like Return of the King. But I don't know, I mean, I fear that we need to do much, much more work than what's done up till that's what we've done
We
up to
do.
this point.
It's the problem needs to be taken care of, and then the solutions will just arise on their own. But we if nobody wants to look at the problem, and I have brought up the archonic mind several times. Nobody wants to talk about it. I want to talk, and that is really because the archonic mind doesn't want to talk about it. It doesn't want to talk about the state of its own existence.
Exactly. Of course, when people bitch about that, complain about that stuff, of course, it's the archontic mind within them defending itself. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But I mean,
Yeah.
then you got like 90% of the whole planet is basically controlled by the archontic mind
Yes.
or whatever. It's an arbitrary number. It could be 89, could be 93, whatever. But it's almost 100% of the planet. It's like there's only like 1% red pillars or something like that. And the
Yep.
rest is like basically like an archontic collective. It's like they're like the Borg, controlled all by
It is
some.
it's
Yeah,
almost like a collective ego.
they're all the same. It's
But
like a collective ego. Like you look at people and you're like, oh God. Like I mean, they're all. You could almost think that they're basically just programmed. Like they've got some script and some computer speaking through them.
they are, and that script runs through the archonic mind.
Exactly. So they really are quite literally like what was shown in the Matrix trilogy.
Yes.
Like, because I mean, my favorite scene ever in the whole out of all three of them actually is where Morpheus is walking. The woman in the red dress, where he's telling Neo, "Well, you see here, businessmen, lawyers, blah blah blah. All these people, because they're our enemy. If they have not woken up from the Matrix, they're potentially an agent. Like anyone who
Yes.
hasn't basically gotten rid of their reactive mind. There you go. I said it. Dianetics,
Exactly.
reactive mind, the Ron Hubbard thing. That's what we were alluding to before, which we had discussed a little bit of that on Facebook, but I won't talk about that further.
That's exactly what
But
it
if you
is.
don't get rid of that, the predator, the subconscious, you are potentially like an agent can take you over. Like you might be the nicest person in the world, but they can still the archons can talk through them and screw you up. Like I mean, I've seen it all the time. People light warriors like me and you, like you look at people that you never expect it. Your mother, your father, your close people that are supposed to quote unquote love you, and they treat you like they treat you like pond scum. You're like, why is this person talking? Why are they attacking me, constantly attacking me? Because it's the archon, it's the agents
Yes.
speaking through them because they want to destroy people that are red pillars. Do you agree? Do you reckon that's a true?
That is exactly what it
that's
is.
a
I
true,
think
true
that most
concept?
people unwittingly serve, even if it's just, I see all these, who's that Adam guy? I don't know what his thing is.
Sorry, what do you
Adam,
mean? Adam who? Sorry,
where
is he? Was he on Facebook or what? Is he an author?
he's on Facebook. He's in the Mark Passio group.
Oh, I don't know. Adam what? What's the second name?
Is his name Adam Perez? He's always bringing up how,
Adam Perez.
is
Sorry,
that his name?
Adam. I know an Adam guy. I think.
They all act the same, so no, I'm just kidding.
I think
But
so.
they
Yeah.
just, that is when you are saying things like, even, Passio says we have to get out of this whole taxpayer system.
Okay.
But when somebody does, we have this guy who's reading from the book about, natural law, but then saying,
Yes.
oh, you can't quit paying taxes because you'll lock you up. And it's like, where does it end? Somebody has got to start actually doing this. But when somebody begins to get away from the archonic mind, the behaviors of it, there's always somebody in the truth movement that's there to attack them. And it's like,
Wait,
that's archonic
is
mind.
that the guy? Is that this guy that was there about a couple of months ago, and he was saying that the Sandy Hook thing was not a hoax and everything? I kicked him out, I think. I mean, he was the guy that was like a primary school teacher or something.
No, he was just posting in there the other day.
Okay, yeah, because
So
I'm not so strict with him. I don't kick everyone out for small.
this is how they make self-policing societies, is they're all serving the archonic God.
Well, exactly.
You're not doing it consciously.
No, oh, no, of course not. Because, like, I mean, that's why I really felt, because I keep saying if I upload this, but definitely this is going to end up, most of this, 90% of this stuff we're saying is going to end up on YouTube soon. That's why I really had to put in that thing with Morpheus. It's just fascinating. That's why it's my favorite meme of the Matrix. I got this photo, this fantastic photo of him walking, and it's got like most of the script of that next to the picture. And it's so, when I saw that movie, I was blown away. It's so true. I mean, that they're giving us the occult truth in that film. It's phenomenal. I mean, yeah, I don't know why they did it, but whether it was for good reasons or to get themselves off the hook or whatever. But it is. I mean, anyone that's not basically nearly enlightened, almost basically ascended or enlightened, is a vehicle for the Archon. It can be potentially, they can attack you. They can become like a vehicle of the Archons. It's like you said, it's like a group mind, like the Borg, like one mass mind, collective. It's horrible.
It is. It is. So yeah, until people learn how to, and you can't tell that to people. You can't say you are being an unwitting agent of the Archon.
Because the trick about that is that you're not supposed to. They're not supposed to know, because if you tell them about it, they're gonna
Deny it.
They're gonna react even worse. And they'll attack you even more, of course, because the control.
That's the Archon mind protecting itself.
The control mechanism, the protection mechanism, the defense mechanism of it is, yes, like I said, it attacks you. And I've seen yeah. Anyway, I don't want to say. I'm not going to say your name or anything. I don't want to give you, I don't want to give people hints so they can figure out sort of who you are from the comments. I mean, you've told me you don't care about it, but I feel, I don't know. I have this, I don't know, interviewer ethics or something. I'm trying to sort of keep you under the radar. I don't want to tell people.
Yeah,
if you keep telling people the way you talk and whatever, they're going to figure out who you are from comments. Some of them probably already have, but whatever. But I don't know. What's the solution though? I really can't see. This really does seem like as bad as the Matrix, like being almost like at the 99.99% point. Always 24/7. We're like at 1 inch away from being completely screwed by the Sentinels and the agents from the Matrix. Like I don't want to be a scaremonger. I'm not like an Alex Jones scaremonger here, but it really does seem like like we're just at the edge. Like just there's like there's only 1 inch left to go, and we're totally screwed. Like it looks like we can never defeat these entities, whatever they are.
We have to build. Well, see, they built an alternate reality.
Yes.
An illusionary reality, but we can do the same. However, it starts with the basic building block of the individual, which means you need one individual who is going to take on their own archonic mind. They're going to. That's where our fear is generated from.
Yes.
It's afraid of everything. It's because everything, it's just afraid for its own safety. It wants to survive. It's kind of like it needs a lot of attention or energy, but at the same time, it has to hide itself.
Yes.
So it's caught in a moral quandary. So it uses our emotional body as
It basically lives in the emotional body,
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is, we have to start cleaning out our emotional body. What are we reactive to?
Yeah.
What are we scared of? Let's get rid of some of these old stale emotions we've been dragging around for 500 lifetimes.
Yep.
that, and then we start hearing the archonic mind speaking separately of us.
And you can
And we
understand,
start,
you're able to discern, as years and months go by, and the better you get, you can be able to discern, this is my higher self, this is
yeah,
my ego speaking, and and you won't be
this
able
is,
to be controlled by the quote unquote, matrix agents as easy.
it
Yeah,
is even the
exactly.
archonic mind that wants the instant gratification
Yes,
of having an immediate solution.
yes.
Um, so you get a couple individuals doing that, and pretty soon you have a group. And then
Like
when
the
you get more,
hundredth, like the hundredth monkey syndrome. Like it
yes,
catches on in society. Yeah, yeah,
it catches on.
yeah. But I mean, there are enough people that are doing
We're
this.
just disconnected.
Like
Yeah, I think there are.
as we
We
said,
are.
I kind of I thought I would get in big trouble, because it's controversial to talk about this. But I'm actually getting guided now. Like I just feel it. It's like just telling me, they just say it. I don't give a shit. Dianetics. Let's do it. I'm gonna balls now and plug that and say Dianetics is awesome, but beyond that, don't worry about it. Like, don't go full on and get into Scientology and everything. But the first thing, the Dianetics thing that Ron Hubbard developed, that is pretty much what we're talking about. Like something like that.
Yeah. Yes,
Something
something
that's
like that.
equivalent to that. I'm sure there are other like systems that are equivalent to that. I would love to
Uh-huh.
do something similar like that, to make something like that. I mean, that is something that works. It basically smashes the reactive mind, the predator mind, the archon mind to bits. It,
Yes,
it
I
really
think
works because I've tried it. I've got a couple of the books. I've done some of the techniques. I mean, but I'm not part of it. You know what I mean? Like Bill
that,
Ryan from the project Camelot project. He's like involved, but he was in a group that was not related to the actual official church. But I mean, he studied that stuff too. So
yeah.
it works. I mean, there's so many things that work, but a lot of people don't know about them, or they won't. I don't know. What do you think? Well, they don't
A
try it
lot of
out,
it's
or
mental. It's that mental block. Who I am, or oh, I couldn't possibly have an archonic mind because those are evil, and I'm not evil. This is
like it protects itself, like you were saying. Yeah,
it protects itself. It tells
yeah,
itself it's oh, I don't have one of those. It's like the
right.
people say I don't have an ego.
Yeah, like when people say don't say, it's so ridiculous. Yeah, yeah.
You
It's
know,
always the
so
opposite. Like I haven't got ego. When someone says that, they're probably the most selfish. It's like the opposite.
people are so angry at the controllers, rightfully so, that when you come along and you say something like, well, you're an agent of them, they don't want to hear that because they think, well, that's a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm the one who wants to get rid of them. And it's like, but you're perversely feeding it.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
it's such a
yes,
tricky. Like I said before, I know, like, in my Facebook circles and everything, my close friends, they know me as Mr. Half Glass Full. But before I sounded like doom and gloom, like we can never defeat the Archons and blah blah blah. But it does really feel. It kind of feels like that. Like I'm very gung ho. I want to do my William Wallace thing, but still, it kind of feels like the Matrix. Like at the end, in the third film, they didn't really win. It was like some shit compromise they made, and there's no.
I,
It's almost like you can never defeat these things somehow.
I know that it can be done. Once I started understanding how it worked, I went, okay, this is how we can defeat them. But then I realized I had to do it on my level.
Right.
I had to learn when the Archon came to visit here externally.
Yes.
I had